Cornhole Champions, Zachary Oren-Smith. For our Cornhole matchup this week, our own Amie Rivers spoke with a voice you might be familiar with.
So,
The woman who told Senator Joni Ernst, quote, people will die if they're kicked off Medicaid knows a little something about what happens when patients no longer have access to health care. That's because India May of Ionia is a registered nurse who is currently a death investigator in Chickasaw County. She's also a library director who couldn't believe her district's current representative in the Iowa legislature, Republican Charlie Thompson, spread rumors about Iowa libraries that, as she puts it, quote, having some secret agenda to turn children gay. Happy Pride Month. That and Thompson's other stances prompted May to decide to run against Thompson in House District 58, which covers Chickasaw County and parts of 3 nearby counties in northeast Iowa. Amy's interview coming up on Cornhole Champions.
Amie here. I went to Senator Joni Ernst's town hall in Parkersburg last Friday and heard Ernst claim that 1.4 million undocumented immigrants were illegally receiving Medicaid. Except that's not true. First off, at least 1.4 million people will lose health care from their state-funded Medicaid program under Trump's big, beautiful bill if it passes in its current form. In fact, the Congressional Budget Office estimates even more than that. 13.7 million people will lose coverage in the next decade because of it. Medicaid's own site will tell you undocumented immigrants are not eligible for Medicaid except in emergency situations. The people who will be kicked off will be the rest of us. Kicking people off Medicaid, as one woman told Ernst, means people will die. And that woman is our next guest. India May, welcome to the show.
hi, thank you so much for having me.
Let's start with that moment. You're in the Applington Parkersburg High School auditorium, and Ernst starts responding back to folks yelling out fact checks, essentially, from the back. For those who weren't there for the full exchange, can you describe it for us?
Well, she started by explaining that no one will lose their Medicaid, Medicare, or SNAP benefits. And then she sort of changed the story and talked about how it would only be illegal immigrants. We were all saying, that's a lie, that's a lie. And she started to respond back and forth. And I said, people will die. And she responded directly to me.
She said, we're all going to
That's
die.
right.
Yeah. Were you surprised by her response?
Well, considering the number of egregious things that she said during that town hall, I wasn't really shocked, but more disappointed. We here in Iowa are facing a bit of a crisis when it comes to healthcare, and it doesn't get a lot of attention. Only 1/3 of our counties have labor and delivery units for our mothers and babies, and we have some of the worst mental health care in the United States. And I don't think it was always the case, but we've seen these issues come up, and I've seen firsthand the danger that it can cause.
Did you expect to hear this from Joni Ernst? I mean, were you expecting her to essentially be this callous?
Well, we tried to get a direct answer that she wasn't willing to give about what her vote would be on the one big beautiful bill. Um, and she would not answer it a yes or no. She described the bird bath process, but we know that that does not actually reconcile damage done by the provisions in this bill. But we can assume that she's going to make a very unpopular choice. So we're not really surprised that she would defend it any way she can.
Yeah, she made the bird bath thing seem like, this rule that they could only look at spending provisions and things like that. But obviously this would be a spending provision. So I'm not really sure how, I mean, did you accept that response that things like this would be taken out, or did you just sort of see it as like an excuse?
Absolutely not. I think that this is just another justification for something that is unjustifiable.
What did you think of her, and I'm going to put this in heavy air quotes, apology video the day after? I heard that was sent to you.
Well, that one surprised me. I had no idea that she would be capable of being so deeply insensitive and almost, can I say, tone deaf towards the number of people who will be impacted by this. It is a very unpopular choice because it will have direct harm leading to illness and death for people. And I couldn't believe that she would dismiss it as fantasy and then to make some strange ploy about Jesus when we know that Christians do not follow any sort of doctrine that would say take away health care from the needy. Anyway, it was very disrespectful. but I saw it as an opportunity to reach out to people who might need to be brought awareness that there's some really awesome groups that are advocating and taking care of people through mutual aid that I want to help connect with.
I wanted to talk about your advocacy because you've done a lot of advocacy work before. We've bumped into each other a couple times at rallies around Northeast Iowa. Tell me what you're interested in and what got you into that work.
Well, I was raised by two people who worked for disability rights advocacy programs in the state of Kansas back when the ADA was new. So I've been doing this kind of thing since I was a kid. It's kind of old hat. But I think more recently, having moved to Iowa about 4 years ago and working as a death investigator and a librarian, I'm responsible for connecting people with resources in the community to help meet their needs, especially when they have traumatic things happen in their lives. And I started to see these resources dwindling in my county that I work. It was 25% of the public health budget had to be cut, which was also a very unpopular budgetary decision. And it seems that the county supervisor's hands were tied by state policy, and I wanted to do more to help.
You mentioned in your campaign video announcing a run for Iowa House that your own representative, Charlie Thompson, spread rumors about libraries turning children gay. As a library director, I have to imagine these comments bothered you. Tell me what you thought about that.
I was so thrown for a loop. My first town hall that I attended was in the town that I work, New Hampton, and I went to see Sandy Salmon and Charlie Thompson speak, and I was there to advocate against some really interesting legislation against libraries. It would remove legal protections from educators and librarians for obscene materials. And so I was looking at the definition of obscene and trying to make sense of how this would impact me, because I would never want to put obscene material in the hands of children. And so it was brought up that Waukee Public Library was the reason that this statewide legislation had to happen. So I called the Waukee Library director, and director to director, I said, "What'd you guys do?" It was there's book bans for Moms for Liberty, and then they had a program that was blind date with a book. If you're familiar, it's a fun little activity that we wrap up a book with gift wrap and give a quick description. We do that through February. So it's a blind date, but it might be a romance novel. And they were afraid that that would end up in the hands of children. So this got blown wildly out of proportion. This issue is not happening in the state of Iowa. Librarians are not trying to harm children in any way. And it was just such a shock to me that we would be facing an even bigger book censorship bill. I think there's a resolution to ban everything with physical intimacy, wholesale, even in public libraries. And that was just pretty shocking. And then the third bill against libraries that was brought up this session was to remove Enrich Iowa funding from libraries who are organizational members of the ALA or ILA. And the American Libraries Association and Iowa Libraries Associations are just advocacy groups, and they give recommendations on programming and other resources like that. But in my phone call with Charlie Thompson, he said that the reason was that the ALA has a gay agenda to queer the catalog, which is absurd. I did fact check this, so feel free to research it. It's a doozy.
You also mentioned Thompson went after an immigrant rights group, Iowa Migrant Movement for Justice, I believe. What was that about?
That's right. It was a nonprofit group. I received an email. I donate to them, and they sent out an email to their donors saying, "Your protected information has been requested and our silence has been requested. We will not comply, but we want you to know your rights. Please review with the ACLU." So I messaged them back and I offered support, but they're really having to do a lot of protective efforts right now. So whatever you guys can do, if we can donate to the cause, they're doing wonderful work. And no lawyer or politician should be targeting these groups for private information.
Let's talk about, I guess, the other issues that you're interested in and what made you decide to run. You mentioned on your website, mayforiowa.com, that some of your top issues include disability rights, rural health care, and education. How would you approach these issues differently than our legislature is currently?
Oh, I have a lot of plans, but these things are really nuanced. So if you want to see my stances and my 5-point action plans, check out my website. In general, I really want to protect our existing programs for people. In education, we need to protect the AEA. And in healthcare, we need to protect Medicaid, Medicare, and the VA. We need to support all of the other advocacy groups, the social supports that have been rocking and rolling to take care of the people who need it the most. So just anytime there's a need, I hope that us Iowans, with our work ethic, and we're strong, we're tough, and we care about each other. I hope we can take care of each other if policy fails us. But I would like to help make sure that policy doesn't continue to fail us.
Anything you'd like to plug right now, like your social media or any upcoming events?
Sure. Like you said, my website, mayforiowa.com. If you want to get a hold of me, if you're interested in volunteering or donating, much appreciated. There's a TikTok account that I run. It's for Progressive Democrats of America, the Iowa chapter. And we're a pretty new group. We are having a lot of fun getting things together to coordinate a No Kings protest on the 14th. And that'll be 6 p.m. at the Charles City Art Center in Charles City, Iowa, if you want to come meet me. It should be fun. We have bubble machines and all kinds of things like that for just adding to a positive experience. And I'd love to give a shout out to the person who alerted me to Joni's apology video, and that would be Layla Staten. She is running for House as well with me, and she's a dear friend, so I always want to give her a little hey to the insufferable wenches of Iowa, and they are also just rocking and rolling. So join up if you haven't already become a part of an advocacy group and you care deeply about these kinds of issues. Please feel free to reach out and we'll connect you.
India May of Ionia is running for the Democratic nomination in Iowa House District 58, which covers all of Chickasaw and parts of Floyd, Butler, and Bremer counties in Northeast Iowa. India, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm a big fan.
That was another episode of Cornhole Champions. If you like the show, please rate it, subscribe, and share it with your friends. While you're at it, sign up for my newsletter at cornholechampions.substack.com. Also, go to iowastartingline.com/newsletters and sign up for our flagship newsletter. It's the best way to get familiar with our great work here at Iowa Starting Line. Cornhole Champions is a weekly podcast powered by Iowa Starting Line. This podcast is produced by me with music from Avery Mossman. Cornhole Champions is a proud member of the Iowa Writers Collaborative. We'll see you with the new episode next Wednesday. Until then, I'm Zachary Oren-Smith.
I'm Amie Rivers.
And I'm Avery Staker.
Thanks for listening. Amie, you want to take a break?
Yes, I do.
I would like to as well.
No one asked you.
Damn, you were asked on the last question.
During Pride Month?
During Pride Month.
Pride Month. We will not stand for this.
That's because India May of Iona is a registered nurse who is
she's
also the
back, I believe, Ionia.
Well, that's stupid. That's because India May of Ionia? Okay.
He
Are you sure?
Actually, no, I'm not sure.
No, not you. Like the town of Ionia. Are they sure? Like, are they sure they want to do that?
Not sure.